I hope I won't disappoint you. And I will also try to wake you up at this end of the day and tell stories and make a great presentation. Today. Okay, so my research is about senior citizens in Israeli collective agreements. I could start with, and now for something different. And my research question is actually what kinds of security do the Israeli collective agreements provide to senior workers? Okay, so as you all know, the labor market in Israel and elsewhere has changed in recent years. I and, of course, many other researchers call it from Fordism to post-Fordism. Here you have the Ford factory in Detroit in 1927, where the man breadwinner worked in in the same factory, Ford factory, to all of his life. And today we're working. This is a Ford factory in Germany, 2011. Men and women are taking part in the labor market. Need to work for many years, and one characterization of the new labor market is that employers have a lot of flexibility. And what do I mean by that? What kinds of flexibility? Today, an employer can dismiss and hire quite easily workers. There is less and less job security. An employer can hire or decrease the wages, and an employer can also move an employee from one job or one task to another. Several researchers from the academia as well as policymakers in the European Unions and in a few states endorse the Flexicurity approach. According to the approach, we need to balance the flexibility of the employers with certain types of security. So while the employer has all these kinds of flexibility, we need to think about security. So when we think about security, there are certain types of security. There are what I call the traditional types of security. There is job security. Job security is the security of an employee to stay in his in the same job. An employee knows that he could, if he works with job security, he knows that he can't be dismissed or he can't be dismissed easily, and he has security that he will stay in the same job during his lifetime. This is job security, which I call a traditional type of security. We have also income security. Income security is security of the worker to receive income. The income could be received from the employer or from the state. Income security means also for senior citizens also the security to receive a pension or to receive an income when the worker cannot work anymore. So job security and income security I call the traditional, or the Flexicurity approach, call them traditional types of security. And today we're speaking more and more of the need of employability security. What is employability security? Employability, the idea is to have security that we will be able to stay in the labor market, it could be not in the same job, but it will be in the labor market. How do we achieve employability? So there are a few Flexicurity researchers offer a few tools for reaching employability. It could be through training, education, lifelong learning, all kinds of tools that will help workers to stay in the labor market for many years. And it could also be through flexible working hours, which also might help senior workers work for many years. The Flexicurity approach also emphasized the role of the social partners, which I think we did not talk about today. Social partners are the unions, the employee unions and the employer unions. And the idea of the Flexicurity researchers is that if we will the social partners will be part of the process, the best result will be achieved. And I will try to ask here also, indeed, is that the situation in Israel? So this is the flexicurity approach. What did I do in my research? In my research, I looked on the collective agreements in Israel, and you might, if you weren't so polite, you might have asked me, why is that interesting? Why is collective agreements interesting? So in Israel, the collective agreements are very interesting. That's at least what I think, because they're a very important tool in the regulation of the labor market. Why is that? As we all know, in Israel, as elsewhere, there is a sharp decline in union membership. Yes, only like about a third of the employees in Israel are unionized, but the collective agreements are still very important. They're important in the public sectors. As you can see, I've checked most collective agreements in the public sectors in Israel, the most important collective agreements in the public sector. And I've also checked most sectorial collective agreements in the private sectors. In Israel, we have sectorial collective agreements, which I think you don't have in the US, but you do have in a few European countries. A sectorial collective agreement is a collective agreement that binds all the workers in the sector, such as the construction sector or the agriculture sector. And in Israel, we also have an extension order when the Ministry of Labor can extend the collective agreement in a way that it will bind all the workers in the sectors, also if they're not part of the collective agreements. In other words, what I checked here is most of the important collective agreements which cover the workers in the private sectors and in the public sectors. Still, we have a lot of, most workers in Israel do not enjoy these agreements, and I was interested how much these agreements promote income security, job security, and employability security. Now, I will soon present my findings, but before that, I want you to be very interested in my findings. I want to say a few words about what is going on with all the workers that are not part of these agreements. Because if we would had all these kinds of security, job security, income security, employability security in the labor market anyway, or in the law of Israel anyway, we don't need the collective agreements to give them. So what happens? And I thought this could also be interested here. These data could also be interested here at the end of the day. So what's going on in Israel with regard to senior workers? What is their situation? Do they receive? What does the labor market and the law gives them? And I want to explain it by telling you a story. Right? I promised to give a story at the end of the day. And I want to tell you a story about Shraga Koren. It was a story, I'm a lawyer, and it was a story which was brought into the Israeli labor court. So who was Shraga Koren? Shraga Koren was a senior citizen. He worked in IBM. He was 56 years old, and his employer, he worked without, he wasn't part of the unionized sector. IBM was not unionized, and he worked in the private sector in IBM, and when he reached the age of 57, his employer dismissed him. And in Israel, we do not, if somebody does not work in the public sector or is not subjected to collective agreements, he could be dismissed at the age of 57 if it's not because of his age. So he was dismissed, and he reached the Israeli labor market and started searching for a job, and he starts to sending his CV to potential employers, but he receives no answer. So he consults his friend and asks them, what should I do? And they tell him to erase your age and continue to send your CV. So he erases the age section, and he continues to to send his CV to potential employers, and then he receives answer. But when the potential employers calls him, he asks, "What's your age?" And when he says it's 57, he gets answers such as, "We do not run here a home for the elderly," and he understands, and he's already 8 months have passed, and he's looking for a job, and he's really concerned, and he consults his friends again, and they tell him, "Well, you're 56, change your age to 46." And he changes his age to 46. And he changes his age to 46, and very quickly he finds a job. In Israel we have a college, a sports college. It's called Winget, Mechon Winget, and he finds he's an expert in computers. And very soon he finds a job, and his employer is really likes him very much. The work is going on very well, but after 3 years of working, the employer finds out somehow that Shraga Koren did not tell the truth, and sends and dismisses him and sends him back to the unfriendly labor market. The case is still in court, but I want to begin with this story to explain what is going on in the Israeli labor market and why did Shraga Koren decide to lie? What was his motives? So what happens in the Israeli labor market? As I said, in Israeli labor market, if we're not subjected to collective agreements, senior workers do not have job security. And as you can see here, you can see the participation in the labor market by ages. So you could see that the years between 35 to 45. It's the peak. We have around 80% of the workers in these ages participate in the labor market, but from the age of 35, it already starts to decline, and Shraga Koren is here, right? He is in the age of 57, so only around 70% of the workers at the age of 57 take part in the labor market. So the labor market is not very friendly to senior workers in Israel, and Shraga Koren did not have job security, but he also knows that he has to work for many years because the life expectancy in Israel is around 80 for men, right? We have a jump of 10 years since the 70s to 2010 for men, from 70 years to around 80 years. So Shraga Koren is supposed to live until the age of 80, and he needs somehow to earn money.
Is that life expectancy at birth?
If that, yes, okay, great that I have. Shraga Koren will be eligible to Social Security benefits only when he will reach the age of 67, and also then they won't be very high. It's the amounts of the Social Security benefits are in Israeli money, but in dollars it's about the basic. It's about $300 or $400 the individual. If Shraga Koren will be very, very poor, so based on means test, he might be able to. He might be eligible also to a supplementary income, which will be around $600 or $700. It's a bit more, but he should really, really be poor and desperate for that. So if we were without collective agreements, let's see if I'm back to the Flexicurity. Right, so without collective agreements, workers in Israel do not have no job security, no income security, and of course no employability security. Workers with collective agreements, of course, have more than Shraga Koren have. But what do they have? What do the collective agreements provide them? And now I'm back for the collective agreements. Okay. So when I looked at all of the collective agreements, which are like I said, the main collective agreements or the central collective agreements in Israel, in most of the collective agreements, I found job security. Most collective agreements in Israel provide workers with job security. All of the collective agreements in the public sectors provide job security, and also most of the collective agreements in the private sector provide job security. Only in three collective agreements I did not find job security. Sorry? Sorry? Job security? What is the...
Collective bargaining. How often do they renegotiate the contract? Is it every 3 years, every 5 years?
It depends, but if you don't negotiate, it continues. If you don't negotiate, and there...
The minimum is a year.
Okay. When I looked about income security and when I look at income security and collective agreements, I mean pension arrangements. So also I found that in most collective agreements, I mean 55, when I checked 56, so only in one collective agreement, I did not find a pension arrangement. And I must say that also here, the workers will be entitled to pension benefits because in Israel, we have from 2008 a mandatory pension. I mean, all employers have to insure their employees. So most collective agreements provide income security and provide job security, which I call both of them traditional types of security. What about employability? What about workers who do not wish to stay in the same workplace that they worked in, or workers like Shraga Kuran, which did not initially worked in the private sector and now wants to continue working? What about employability? So I checked to check employability. I checked the agreements. What the collective agreements say, how do they regulate training, and how do they regulate working hours to senior workers. So here you can see when I looked about flexible working hours for senior workers, I found only one agreement in the education sector that provides workers with flexible working hours. If I would look at flexible working hours for women or for women who are mothers, I would show much more. Yes, that there are a lot of collective agreements that provide women or mothers or fathers with flexible working hours, but not senior workers. And when I looked about how do the collective agreements regulate training to senior workers, I did not find any collective agreement that provide training or education to senior workers. That does not mean, of course, that an employer can, of course, provide training to senior workers, but it wasn't in the collective agreement. So what did I find? The collective agreements provide income security, the collective agreements provide job security, and the collective agreements, but the collective agreements do not provide employability security. Now, if I want to elaborate a bit or to say a bit more about what does that mean, what is employability, what is job security, what is income security. So the first thing I could say is maybe about employability security. While the collective agreements do not provide employability security to senior workers, I must say that there is, I also checked to see what about a lifelong learning arrangement or education arrangement with regard to all workers. And here I found out that there is a great difference between the public sector and the private sectors. Workers in the public sectors, the collective agreements provide arrangement of lifelong learning, such as training, such as sabbatical leaves, but it was only in the public sectors. In the private sectors, I only found what Rami Dayan called study funds. It's some kind of in Israel, it's like a saving instrument. Yeah, so there is some kind of employability security, but it is mostly in the public sectors. Workers in the private sectors will not enjoy it. What about income security? The income security is, which I called income security, is pension arrangement. In Israel, the pension is privatized. There is a mandatory pension, but the pension is privatized. And these senior workers have some kinds of security, but they cannot know how much money they will receive. What about job security? Most collective agreements provide job security, but strong job security is mostly in the public sector, when only in the public sector the employer needs the union agreement to dismiss workers. In the private sectors, the job security means usually only that the employer needs to give his employee what is called a just cause to the dismissal, and then he can dismiss him. Sometimes you also need to consult the union, but it's a very weak form of security. So if I will conclude now, so what kinds of security do senior workers, do senior citizens have in collective agreements? They have income security, but a quite weak one. They have job security, but a quite weak one. And generally, they do not have employability security. I think these findings are quite interesting if I would go back to the Flexicurity approach and the way it trusts the social partners to reach Flexicurity strategy or to promote employability. Thank you.